In this video, we're going to be looking at the existence of God, and I actually want to start off this topic by asking you the question, how do you know that God exists? Maybe you have an atheist or agnostic coworker or friend or boss or even relative, and they find out that you're a Christian, and you get into a conversation about religion, and they ask you, how do you know that God exists? Do you have a good answer for that? And I know this question can sound pretty intimidating, but I just want to reassure you that we as a Christian church had over 2 millennia to think about this question, and there were many, many brilliant minds that came up with really good answers that philosophers are still wrestling with tooth and nail. And so there are many good reasons that we have to believe, to have for the existence of God. But I just want to give out, for the sake of time, three reasons, 3 arguments or proofs for the existence of God. And the reason I picked these 3 is because I just believe in this cultural climate right now, these 3 seem to be the most effective, at least in my personal experience of evangelism. And so with that, we're going to be looking at 3 arguments. So the first of these arguments is the cosmological argument. And the cosmological argument, in a nutshell, basically says that we can infer the existence of God from the very existence of the cosmos itself. And so if I could break this down for us, the first premise goes, everything we observe in the universe is contingent. And what that means is everything we observe in the universe has a cause outside of itself. And so whether that's the coffee that you made this morning, or your iPhone, or your computer, or your very own self, or Uncle John, whatever you see, it seems to have a cause outside of itself. Things don't give themselves their own existence. Isn't that right? So that's something that we see about the universe. And number 2, the second premise goes that the chain of contingent objects cannot be infinite. Or in other words, the sequence of contingent things cannot go on infinitely. What I mean by that is, so let's say you hear a rumor about John from Sally, and you ask Sally, hey Sally, where did you hear that rumor about John? And then Sally says, oh, I heard that rumor about John from Jenny. And then you go to Jenny, and then you ask Jenny, hey Jenny, where did you hear about that rumor? And then Jenny says, oh, I heard it from Benny. So for that rumor to have truly existed, that chain cannot go on infinitely. There had to have been a source for the rumor. There's going to have to come a point in time where when you get to the bottom of it, if nobody is lying to you, someone will have to say, oh, I started that rumor. It just can't be that if the rumor is to exist, that this chain of contingency can go on infinitely. And so that's what we're saying, just logically. That's that. And as a result, when we look at this universe itself, the fact that everything we seem to see about this universe is contingent, then we have no reason to believe that the universe itself is unique in any way. And in fact, empirically, we are coming to a consensus, at least in the scientific community, that the universe seems to have had the beginning. And so when we look at everything we see in the universe, and when we look at even the universe itself, we say that, for these things, for the universe to have existed, there must have been a non-contingent being who has created it all. And that's why we say in the conclusion of the cosmological argument, God is that necessary non-contingent being who has started this process of creating this contingent universe. God, in other words, is the necessary first cause that must exist if this contingent world that we see seems to exist. And so that's basically the cosmological argument in a nutshell. There are many variations of this. I think one popular one is called the Kalam cosmological argument. It's William Lane Craig started this argument. It's in systematic theology, and it's a very potent variation of this as well. And so that's the cosmological argument. The second argument for the existence of God is the teleological or design argument. And basically what this argument is when you look at life or the universe, it appears meaningful. And when we say meaningful, we're saying it appears designed or purposeful. Wayne Grudem says, he put it like this in The Purpose-Driven Life. Without God, life has no purpose. And without purpose, life has no meaning. Without meaning, life has no significance or hope. When I look at my house, we have an ant infestation, unfortunately. It's getting really hot, and so all the ants outside, they just come inside our house. But anyway, when you look at the existence of an ant and the ant's purpose in life, is your life is your existence any more meaningful than that ant? It appears to be more meaningful. Your life seems to have meaning. It seems to be designed or purposeful. And the only reason that this could be so is if indeed God also exists. Certainly, you can live as though God existed. You can live as though your life has meaning or purpose or whatever. But at best, this is just fanciful thinking unless God indeed is out there looking at us, created us with a purpose in mind. And, there's a famous entertainer, Woody Allen, and one of the things about him, if you didn't know, is he's an atheist. And this is what he says about his life. He says this: in the end, everything has no meaning. We live in a random universe and you're living a meaningless life. And everything you create in your life or do is going to vanish, and the earth itself will vanish, and the sun will burn out, and the universe will be gone. What I would recommend as an antidote to this meaningless life is distraction. One thing I really respect about Woody Allen was, he's an atheist, and as a result, he just kind of went down very logically, and he accepted the conclusion of his belief. If God doesn't exist, life doesn't really have meaning. Isn't that right? We can hope that we can hope and wish and live as though our lives had meaning, but at best, this is just fanciful thinking. And so we, as Christians, we say, when you look at life, we intuitively know that it seems designed, purposed. And the reason is because there actually is a designer. There is one who has purposed this world. And so so that's basically the teleological argument in a nutshell. It can also be taken from a very materialist lens. And what I mean by that is some people say when you look at the existence of the cosmos and study the physics of it or the molecular structure of the cell, when you see life, the material portion of life, it just seems so intricately designed that there must be a intelligent designer who put this physical world into order. And so that's one spin on it. It's called the intelligent design argument. You don't have to go there, but that's a teleological argument in a nutshell. And